Two hearts to beat as one. Two hearts to beat as one. Two hearts to beat as one. Two hearts. Polished insanity. I'm your psychoid fantasy. Tell me that you kill for me. Pearl drop earrings compliment the teardrops streaming down my cheeks. Picture perfect tragedy. Ticking time bomb, so to speak. Ultra violent, lethal body. Pull the pin out, make a scene. Look, I know I'm not your perfect baby. But you got a fetish for my love, and the both of us know it makes you crazy. If I love is true, then I don't wanna.
Hi, my name is Diego Lovato. I directed this short film.
Hi, I'm Eliza. I played Mary and brought lunches.
Monday, I acted as Frankie. I also helped write a little bit for the first time. I don't know how I did that. Somehow, I did.
Hi, my name is Poppy. I acted and I wrote. And we also want to shout out 3 people who aren't here, Campbell, Tim, and Anna. Campbell was one of the actors, Tim was DP and also edited, and Anna was another one of the directors.
Hi, I'm Margaret, and I played Essie.
Hi, I'm Leendert. I did the music, audio post, and was boom up for day 1.
Hello, I'm Mingtai, and I did AD production work, and I boom up day 2.
Hi, my name is Wing. I produced, I was one of the writers, and we shot it in my apartment. Yes, and I'm also trying to stall a little bit because I don't know where Antonio is, but he was our star, Bill. Is there only one? Okay. Antonio, we miss you. Antonio! Come!
Bill.
Hey everyone, just also really quick, my name's Greg, friend of the Cohort. Came here to just help moderate and have a great out time, so let's get to it, y'all. Before we get started, I think I just want to take a moment for everyone when they come up here to tell us what genre you guys got for the piece.
We had sci-fi.
Hey!
Also, the prompt for this live, so this is the prompt was sorry, my mask fell off. So they had sci-fi and it was kind of up to their interpretation, they take it literally, so on and so forth.
In this piece I love so much was kind of the sense of symmetry that was used. I'm thinking specifically about like a closet shot where there was like a light behind, perfectly behind the 2 girls. There was a scene like the round table, like the 2 girls were like behind with the frame and everything. So I just wondered like what your process was for like that kind of visual storytelling.
So the other director, Anna, she was telling me when we were storyboarding that she wanted a sort of organization turned into chaos or like ambiguous, and then we find out what it is and then turns into chaos. And so that was the idea behind what's it called, her directing, because she directed the first day and that whole like beginning sit down scene, she directed that. And then I took over Saturday while she couldn't be there. And for me, the point of the symmetry is, well, first of all, if you're talking about that shot in particular, you know, the middle of it, one is Essie. Essie's on one side, she's lit. I liked how the light in the door just put in like chiaroscuro, while the other side is Mary, and you know, she's trying to find out like what the hell's happening. But yeah, that's one thing that was the purpose of the symmetry, is kind of like making it a little bit off, especially with the editing. I kind of like how which shout out to Tim, by the way, he was amazing, professional through the whole thing. It felt like, almost like the editing was like glitching. And I liked that about it. It was organized, but you know, sort of like falling apart, you know, the mask falling off, that sort of thing.
Absolutely, I think that really helped with the storytelling.
Yeah.
I thought that part was really interesting because right before, and correct me if I'm wrong, the line that I think you have, Margaret, is like, oh, I have to use the bathroom, and then she walks into the closet, or something like that?
She's saying, like, I'm having a lot of fun, I don't want to leave, actually.
Oh, okay.
They'll kind of shoos her away.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious, that was kind of the part where I started to realize, okay, something is like uncanny about this. Like something's afoot, you know? I'm not sure, maybe one of your writers wants to talk about this, but how did you kind of work in the twist? Or, you know, what were your decisions in that, and like how you wanted to put some Easter eggs or anything?
So I mainly did like the concept. My wonderful writer, Madhumanti and Wing, did most of the actual script writing. I think mainly the concept, what I was thinking of, came from the idea of like obviously we're doing sci-fi, so I think something a little bit topical, obviously, is AI, and about how it's kind of infiltrating every part of our lives. And I really wanted to play with the idea that it could infiltrate on something so kind of natural as like grief, and play a part in not only like changing that, but trying to co-opt it in a way. I forgot what your original question was. I got so far into this.
No, because I feel like, at least for me, in viewing it, is that the twist of that Essie is this AI, read the word was?
Yeah.
And I feel like I liked how there were Easter eggs, you know, there was little moments up until we actually found out that kind of hint at that. So I was curious, like, what your process was, or you know, deciding, okay, how is this going to go? What is like the roadmap? What do we want people's initial, you know, observations to be versus what the actual truth is?
I think, so I don't know if anyone's ever seen the movie Companion. It's about, it's essentially about a guy who has like a robot AI girlfriend, and about she doesn't know that she's an AI, whatever. That, I think, concept has been played with a lot, especially currently we have a lot of people kind of falling in love with like ChatGPT, all of that kind of stuff. I really wanted it to be a twist on something like a little bit darker and a lot more like, I don't know, I think losing anyone, but losing a sibling is such a difficult place to, something that I think that a lot of people struggle to recover from, and I wanted it to be something that really tapped into something like very innate. I think it was something that I hadn't necessarily seen played with before, and something that I thought that almost anybody could relate to, losing somebody incredibly close to them, especially a family member, and about the desperation of getting that person back. I think at first, actually, I wasn't really keen on it feeling like Essie was his girlfriend, because I was like, it's gonna get a little weird. But I think that Wing and Madhumanti did an amazing job of writing it so that it wasn't ambiguous enough that it felt up to the interpretation of the audience, and that's very much a credit to them. So I will let you guys talk about a little bit more about that if you want to. What do you want to go first?
Sure. So I think initially we had like 3 stages in which we revealed that it's going to be an AI and not a normal human being. So in the beginning, the way that she delivers the dialogues, like that, and then 3 ways, like 3 steps in which we wanted to ideally do that, but then of course we do not have that much time, so we stuck with one way at the end where the person from the AI company comes for a visit and to check if that's her. So that's where we decided that we will reveal it, that this person is not really a human being, but an AI, which is going through this clinical trial situation, and that's where she comes in, and that's where we finally get to know. And we also wanted to end with the idea that, you know, the friends really don't agree that the friend Emily that they really love so much, whose replacement is supposed to be Essie, to them, nothing can replace Emily at all. So they're upset, and they're just saying that it's impossible for us to replace Emily. So sorry, but that's not Emily in there. So we don't accept, but they raise a toast saying it's to Essie instead of Emily. Emily is the one who was supposed to be celebrated that day, but then the twist is it became about Essie instead. And that's where the friends did not like it, because it was supposed to be the day dedicated to Emily. So that was how we thought.
Yeah, I think they're both fantastic people to write with. Thank you. What I'll say is that for that specific sentence, we bounced it around a lot because we wanted it to be ambiguous. Like, the big question on set was like, how much does she actually feel? Like, what does Essie actually know? And I think that was kind of, as a writer, my question, because like, I don't know what the fuck AI feels or knows. And originally we played around with the idea that it was like 20 years from now. So I was imagining the evolution of AI, and like, I was really thinking of like iRobot with Will Smith in it. Like, I just really feel bad for that robot. And I wanted Essie to feel like that you couldn't really tell, is she just a girl? Like, is she a robot? Like, does she have feelings? And the first Easter egg is when she starts saying like how they've met, and the door rings and Harper comes in and he says, "Oh, don't tell that story until I come back." And it sounds normal, but it's a command. like it's so that she won't say like how she came to be. And then I really loved like just like Margaret's delivery we talked about. We wanted her to have like a full range within the film of like complete AI, like stillness, and then also just her being like, wait, like no, I'm having fun at dinner, like, and he's like, I don't care, get in the fucking closet. And then boom, Anthony nailed that.
I love that. Yeah, just to keep like, I love writing with the camera and just keep complimenting the writing. I thought there were so many beautiful moments where you were like covering in so many different conversations about like consent, like would this be something that Emily liked or would want to extend to her? So sounds. Before we move on to some audience questions, get ready, all will come to you. I just was wondering for like day on the set, if getting the actors or people involved want to talk about their experience, what it was like, any of your experience playing improvising like that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I just had such a blast with this group. Everyone was so great to work with. Yeah, I mean, as Wing was saying, it was an interesting balance to sort of have her be this like functional robot, but also have moments of emotion. I don't think she fully understands herself yet. Like she knows that she exists, like she says in that one scene in the closet, and she sort of does have these feelings. So it is a pretty ambiguous place to live in. Yeah. Anyone else wanna?
I think something that you guys did really well, and something that was a really smart choice, is that AI, already the concept of an AI, mimicking human is that like uncanny, eerie feeling, because it's like, it may know how to do it so well in some circumstances that it's like, oh my God, this could be another person talking to me, and in other circumstances where it's like, but it's not human. And I think making the AI, making Essie modeled after another character that's a sibling and also equally involved in this friend group, that kind of doubles down on that meaning, because it's like when people die, you expect grandparents to die, you expect parents to die. Siblings dying it's a different territory, and it gives us almost in a way that same, eerie, uncanny feeling. So I feel like it really worked well for you guys in that sense.
I think that's something we talked about, was the concept of like the AI accent. I think people talk about that a lot online, is like how you can always tell when something is, or at least in the beginning, maybe a year ago, you could always tell when something was written by AI, and as it develops, it starts to become harder and harder, and actually also in a way we start to adopt the way that AI speaks because it becomes so ubiquitous. And I think that was something that we wanted to play with the concept of.
Any other thoughts from you guys before I open up to the audience? All right, any questions from you folks out there?
I wanted to ask Margaret, how did you approach acting in AI?
Well, it's one of my dream roles. I just love being able to do that. It's something I've played around a little bit with before in more of like a theater space, but I think you sort of have to I think of it like you have to hold your body a certain way, like everything has to be very optimal in the way that you're moving, but in this case you want it to still be sort of fluid and human. So like the physicality of it I think is really important, and you can kind of be anywhere on that spectrum of like very robotic or human seeming, depending on how much of that you do. The voice was kind of similar. I wanted it to sort of have elements of that, but still sound fluid enough that you can't tell at first. So it was like finding the right balance within those different pieces of like physicality and voice, and when she gets emotional and when she doesn't. Like that's her whole world. Her whole world is like Bill and this one moment, and that's why she's like, it's so amazing that we're all together. She's kind of like a child who's just enjoying that whole moment. So yeah, that's kind of how I approached it.
I really appreciated the restraint you guys had in terms of not villainizing anybody in the cast, and I would like to hear you guys touch a little bit on how you found the moral core of the project and the stances of grief, but also somebody who is profiting from doing something.
Okay. I think, it's kind of like similar to what I said before. I think that obviously AI is an incredibly polarizing subject, and I think what I wanted when in the concept of the story is that I think there's a lot of discussion online about people having AI boyfriends or girlfriends, and in some way that almost feels, I think people judge people like that as it almost being indulgent, something that you could find elsewhere, whereas somebody who is lost and gone to you, the concept of not being able to be with that person again, I think many people can relate to, and is something that like you can see how somebody couldn't help but go against their moral code and create regeneration of their sister just because they lost them too soon and they couldn't deal with the fact of not being able to be with them. And I think that allowed us to play a lot more in the space of not having any judgment for Bill, not really having a lot of judgment for Essie because she's just a girl, and not judging, you know, like Campbell, who isn't here, but their character says, yeah, like she was like a sister to me too. And so you also see these friends kind of struggling with the idea that not only did they not have any say in this like decision, but also this was a person that was incredibly important to them as well, and their moral code would tell them to never do something like that. And they've had to be strong enough to overcome their grief. So what does that say about them versus what it says about Bill? And I don't think that it says something right or wrong. I think it just says something that like is very innate to your own humanity, which is how far are you willing to go in order to bring back what you lost?
Yeah, I was really dancing the line of like, I wanted all of the actors, since we had so many, like originally we had 8 and then we realized that I had 6 dinner chairs, and I was like, and me and CastMingtai were locked in on like crew, and I was like, I'm gonna write out those 2 characters and I'm gonna meld them into the other ones. I was really focusing on each of the characters having a strong relationship in my mind to each other, and playing with the idea of the fact that like there's these 3 people that are coming to support him. Like originally, like the idea that they pitched was that it was like they have a memorial dinner for the sister every year for 5 years. It's maybe the only time they see each other after college, and that he has this support system, and like because of the weight of grief, like it's not enough, like it doesn't matter. And the people there are there because they care so much about his sister and about him. And it was kind of funny. Antonio was like, it's hard to play this role when like, I don't understand why this guy got a robot of his sister.
He's an asshole.
He's an asshole. But like playing the duality of all of it, that like, even if you're like, God, I would not do the same thing, understanding like how someone could be pushed to like the brink of that, just like from grief and loneliness, and like dancing around each character's emotions, like with this question of like what, like Poppy had a monologue at one point where she says like, you lose a partner, a parent, a sister, what would you do to hug them again, to speak to them again? We give you that, like we give you that opportunity. And it was fun to just play with the idea together, all of us. Yeah.
It's very Black Mirror-esque.
Shout out Black Mirror.
Here you are.
Sorry I'm late. I missed everyone's film. I apologize. I was asleep. My name's David. I was a director and I did the editing and camera stuff. Yeah.
You're a DP.
I was DP, yeah. That's the credits. I was shooting those this morning, and that's why I did make it.
I didn't say anything. My name is Gina. I was an actor. I played Steez.
Hi, my name is Sol. I was also in the film and was a producer, helped with logistics. I was McCoy.
Yeah.
Cat.
A cat.
Yeah, the cat.
Hey, I'm Mayani, and I acted in this film.
Hey, I'm Marae, and I was the writer.
Hi, my name is Sadiq. I was in it. I did the part of John, whose name I forgot. I had to ask that before we came up here. I also did costumes and like art design.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nikki. I played Kara. I was also producer, and we shot most of this in my apartment.
And I'm Annabelle. I played Piper, the murderer.
Sure, I think we should just start out with let's go Knicks, right? So, back to it. I'd love to talk about the use of the confessionals, because I thought it was a really cool kind of like device. Confessionals, it wasn't necessarily commentating on it, it was progressing the story through. So I don't know if that was like more so in the writing, if that was like a DP choice with the way that we were doing the camera stuff. So if anyone wants to talk on that a little bit more.
Yeah, that was kind of the seed of the
idea for our story, Gina mentioned My Drunk History, the show, where drunk comedians narrate a bit of history, but they do it in a way that's like very ridiculous and they get the facts wrong. And our genre was historical revisionism, so we wanted in each of the characters' perspectives, their telling of it is different, and they're revising the story as they go along to protect their reputations and hide their intentions. So that was kind of the seed of the story before it was anything else, before it was about the Knicks. It was going to be like a My Drunk History-esque. The characters are sort of like describing their own perception of events, even though they all vary from each other.
Yeah, in terms of the writing process, we kind of had a script battle royale. We had everybody, after our first session, we did not come away with a concrete idea that everybody wanted. There was quite a bit of discussion, so we came away with a list of one thing that everybody needed to be in the movie. And Nikki was the one who presented that it needed to be a New York story. And so when we all came together with our scripts, Mire's was the superior choice, it was the timely choice, and it was the choice that we had to make. And so we did. And that's the movie that we got.
Yes.
I just want to look at you. No, yeah. Well, I guess the first question is, when did you guys shoot this? Had they won the championship?
Wait. So our final shooting day was on Saturday, and we ended shooting ended our entire shoot, completely wrapped the film at 8:30. When the game started.
It was an intentional hard out. We spent the last 2 hours being like, okay, we got like 15 more shots. How can we make that 4? And so like that scene at the beginning when we see the body and pan up, that was supposed to be like 5 different setups. And we're like, let's just do it in one and get everybody's coverage in one shot. That was a David idea.
Yeah, I'm very much I hate multiple shots. I hate it so fucking much. There's a way to just get everyone in frame and make it really beautiful. So yeah, also I wanted to watch the game. Like once in a lifetime opportunity. So, but yeah, we all came together. It was a group effort, and I think everyone did a really great job. Shouts out to Soul. He's the unsung hero of this whole project. He did a lot of work that might not be shown on screen, but he did a lot of backhand producing work. So everyone did a really great job. I wouldn't say just Soul, but yeah, we were working hard.
Also, we had a hard out for our Jalen Brunson bobblehead as well, because the owner, Murray's friend of the bobblehead, was like, you can use it, you just can't use it during the game because I'm superstitious. So we were like, Jalen has a hard out at 5, okay, guys?
And we got him out on time.
We got him
on time. He's not late for his next appointment.
He was on the call list. So.
Yeah. I think that's something else I noticed, and I'm kind of branching off of what David was just saying, is that the story itself, it obviously was an ensemble piece. Everyone had their own part and they played their own aspect. But the way that it was filmed was very much an ensemble film as well. And like you were saying, those shots, who they're incorporating, how the characters are coming together, how it's working in that moment. Does the cast kind of want to talk about what it was like working as an ensemble together? Were there things, what was written and what wasn't written? What did you kind of, feel out in the moment? How was it?
What David said just brought up something like condensing multi-shots into one shot. I feel like we were so physically close all day, which I actually enjoyed. I was squatting, I was leaning over, I was crouching, I was hugging Saul from behind for a good 20 minutes in my high heel boots. So I just feel like we were really scrappy. The only time we really felt separate, in my opinion, was the confessional, each of us going into my bedroom one by one and doing that part. But everything else kind of happened in the hallway or in the living room. A lot of the B-roll of us watching the game was us just kind of chilling on the couch, literally watching game clips on YouTube and reacting to them. So yeah, it felt like an ensemble too.
So it definitely, if you kind of feel like this feels like it was shot by 2 different people and you said it's an ensemble, it's because there was more than one director. Our lead director, Albie, is not here right now. Shout out to Albie. Yeah, we kind of all took turns. So also, like I said, unsung hero was also helping the writers do a lot of different stuff. So we all kind of gave our best ideas and best foot forward. So when there was a shot that I liked, I was like, hey, everyone could look at this. And I was like, the shot that I want, we all kind of just collaborated together. Ben is not here. Ben also was there too as well.
I guess I think that was my question. I loved during like the callback reenactment moments, how the actual camera style was like different from who was telling the story. And I was wondering, was that based on more so like the character who's telling the story? Was that based on like maybe the director was like, I want to do this kind of lens this time or something like that? What was that kind of those choices?
One mic. So, yeah, you watched the short. We wanted to. I actually didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. Yeah, there was intentional how we framed everyone, but we didn't want to give away the ending too much. So I just wanted to work on movement as like very tight movement with all the characters, so that we're always entering and kind of seeing people at a different angle. So that was really just more the intention of like trying to feel like you're in their space as they're talking. So yeah, I think Kara's was the one that like we really jumped around with.
And then also for those flashbacks, it was definitely something that we were talking about in that initial meeting of trying to discover what the concept was, exploring really big differences in terms of visual style and tone with each of the memories. I think for time's sake, and also with how the story ended up unfolding, it became more so just like a lighting and a visual choice, along with the acting beats, like Kara popping out from behind the back. And I think, to what everybody's been saying, we all were there together, really trying, and I think pushing the envelope in a way that I think was very successful.
Any questions from you guys? I see one over here.
First of all, I love this. It felt so fun and so refreshing. I had a question about the art design, but I'm not sure if it crosses over to the directing style too. I loved the typography, the sound design, the colors, the tone, and I wanted to know if that was a consideration. But for me, it gave like a nostalgic feeling of like watching Skins, or like it felt very real, it felt very refreshing. So I just wanted to know if that was a consideration.
I feel like this mic does not need to, yeah. Oh yeah. Shout out to Soul. Shout out to Soul for sure. No, you're good. That feels like it needs to be said for sure. I don't know that I am the right person to answer this question. I feel like.
Well, you did the decorations.
Yeah, but I
He created the T-shirt, the Knicks Till I Die T-shirt.
Yeah, I felt like my part was very specific. I don't know that if it covered any of what they're asking. Hold tight.
But I think it was a core part of what ended up happening, because your idea, Knicks Till I Die, with the shirt is the reason why the film is titled that. It's the reason why I made the font that way for the title of the film and for the poster as well. Yeah. And of course, just Knicks colors, orange and blue, was a huge, like whenever we had our LED panels and we're like, what color were you gonna set them to? Well, we had to. So orange and blue. Does that answer your question? Is there any more? Yeah, and I think it felt, maybe the word is impressionist, in that like we were just going, and a lot of what we were using was the first takes. We did more, but like just looking at it in the edit, that's just what made the most sense. And the same with the music. I didn't make any of the music ahead of time, and we were already in the edit, and then I was like, okay, what does this need? What does it sound like? Detectives, jazz, noir, just kind of fell into place.
Hi, I've had the privilege of working with Nyc before in our previous Cohort project, and I know that this is her first time acting. I wanted to... My question is, for all of the actors, was this one of your first times acting, and how did that, feel to you? And if it was the time that you think you're an actor with history, how did that also get into character? How did you feel about doing this in such a short period?
I want to preface before I hand the mic to Mayani that Mayani was not present on the first day, and David was like, yeah, Mayani's an actor. She's going to act in this. And when she heard that, she was like, what the fuck? Why did you say that about me? But I think it went great, yeah.
I have nothing to say.
How was it? How was it acting?
Oh shit. It's a magnet. That's amazing. No, yeah. I was not prepared to act at all, and I like came onto the first call, and people didn't know I was on the call actually, and I was just like lurking on it, and then somebody said my name, and I was like, hello, and then they said that I was acting as Winnie, and I was like, oh shit, okay. But yeah, it was cool because this is my third cohort, and I did like more on the production side and a little bit of directing before, so it was good to experience acting. And yeah, it's like a very vulnerable thing to act, you know? It's like, holy shit, the camera's looking right at you, you know? You gotta perform. So it was a good experience, and yeah, I'm glad that you voluntold me to do that. So thank you, David.
Anytime.
This is also my third cohort, and I normally am only behind the camera as well. So I normally like write and direct, and then we got here first day and everyone was like, yeah, I'll write and I'll direct. And I was like, okay, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. So I haven't acted in a short since I was in high school. Like I think I was 17 last time I acted in something. So I was like, why not? I'm a very theatrical person, as most people who know me would describe it as. So I was like, yeah, I'll be in it. And then Murray wrote this hilarious character of Steez, which in the script is a man and always referred to as he. And I was like, yeah, I'll be Steez. That seems like fitting. And then I got there, I got this like New York Knicks shirt, and then Sadiq came in with these fantastic shorts and these glasses, and I was like, I am Steez. So yeah, it felt like it fell into place.
I am an actor, but this is my first cohort. So I don't know, I think that like when we did the first read through, it was completely different cast, like completely different genders for a lot of the characters. And we kind of all left that first read through being like, yeah, like this kind of makes sense, this casting. And then everything flipped. And I was actually really nervous about this character. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm like, you know, like as an actor, I feel like you read a script, and for me at least, I go yes or no very quickly. And I was like, who the fuck is John even? Like I called David, I was like, you guys cast me as John, which one was he? I don't even remember that character. And so I was definitely really nervous, but then when I got to set, I don't know, we just all had really good energy, and then I felt like a lot of my stuff was specifically with Mayani and Nikki, and we just had such natural chemistry, and that was really soothing and comforting, and then it was just a fucking blast. I think that like the movie takes place at this party, and I felt on some level we were having a party for 2 days. Yeah, and it was just like fun, and my nerves were relieved, and it was great. Yeah.
This is also my first cohort. I mostly do stage acting, so film is new for me. I was nervous, but I kind of just jumped in head first. I wasn't really too nervous, had too many questions. I was just like, the writing was so good. I was like, I'm Kara, that's who I'm rocking with. And I thought I would be way too conscious of the camera. I wasn't. I really appreciated that all of our like DPs and directors, like they were very clear and straightforward with what they wanted from me and from the cast in general. So I felt really supported, and like I could really just be vulnerable, let my guard down in front of the camera, behind the camera. And yeah, it was just such a good time. We just laughed a lot, and I gave massages and cuddles, and yeah, we were playing music. It was a vibe. It was a good time. Yeah, I just had a really, really nice, fun time, and I learned so much. I even got to do a little sound, like just seeing the filmmaking process was really cool for me, and I was so impressed by everyone.
Yeah, my first time acting was the first cohort, actually, and this is now my fifth. I forget every time how challenging it is to be on such a time crunch, I think, but I think once you start getting into it, it like gets into a flow, and everyone was so great to work with that it like ended up being really fun anyway. And I think that's the key, is like just being with people who make you feel comfortable on camera, because like they were saying, it is very vulnerable, it is a little scary, but yeah, I had a great time, so.
I think that is all the time that we have left for this group, so let's get one question. Yes. One more question, final question.
Yes, an incredibly serious question I had to ask, and this is from a friend of mine. How much for a shirt?
How much for a shirt?
I asked it. You go
coming here tonight, so
After later tonight, you can get it.
as the owner of the company who makes that T-shirt, the shirt is actually right behind you. So let's chat.
Alright, guys, and just like that was Cohort's film.
I did the location sound, the sound mixing, and the music for this.
My name is Jay, and I played Chloe. Hi, I'm Roman. I played Lexi, and I'm also one of the writers.
Hi, my name is Ahmed. I'm the PP.
I'm Lily, and I play Rose.
I'm going to watch you at a Jackson.
Hi, the name is Coco. I did production design. Behind the scenes, I was also a sound assistant person. I did continuity. I did a whole bunch of things. I ended up hitting title cards also. I did a lot of things. Actually, now I'm a character.
I'm Cheyenne. I played myself. I have with the director, producer.
I'm with the co-writer of Brightland and the first AD in the admin.
So I guess I'll start off just by some kind of a simple question. How was this process for you guys? How was it working together and brainstorming and eventually, making tougher decisions and, coming down to the final product?
So, I will be honest. I chosen Granite for the first cohort. And I did not make it through the whole thing because one thing I'll tell everyone, this is a high pressure situation and you got to do phenomenal. Like working with people, it's not easy. And creating with people, it's not easy. So that we're here and this group kind of really was like the driving force for us to get to that end goal. I don't know if I answered the question, but for me, it was a phenomenal experience. So what was then? What can you say? How was your experience? This is my first time at Cohort. I've just graduated from college, so this is my experience. Well, basically what I ended up doing was it felt honestly really natural to hang around with these cool people. Honestly, we all worked really, really well together, and it felt like we've always known each other, So it's not that hard, honestly. I mean, it was hard because we put in the work, we put in the effort, and we all succeeded. So,
I'm just gonna say, I think the original question was also was the start to end process. I'll just quickly summarize that. Day one, we figured out what days we were all available to shoot. It ended up being 2 days. And then as time conflicts, how long it was, we're 1 day. We made it work about, I think, a 12-hour shoot day at Jay's apartment. Ended at 1 a.m. It was worth it. I think for a while we were bouncing around ideas that a character that wanted to play. We're trying to figure out what much of the prompts. We all thought maybe more psychological side of a mask than this one. We're actually missing a couple people from the start. I think there's 2 actors. One actor that confirms, one actor that just wasn't there. Unfortunately, we had options for them, but couldn't ultimately break them into the script. That was okay, worked around that. I think Dylan and I yelled out the script in about 3 days, with Shy's revision, and then we were shooting. And then the rest of it was writing Dylan, Shy, and Ian just carrying.
I just was really honest with what was the genre thing?
We had dramatic comedy, or dark comedy inside. Dark comedy.
But I was wondering if that's what Bob here would specifically talk about the process for GirlAntonio and had to be a sound design alongside, GirlTil.
Yeah, sure. So I had originally started a quick little 15-minute mock-up where I was really trying to be sarcastic. And I sent it over and Shy was let's really dig into this genre. So yeah, just trying to take an approach that created the right tension for each scene and drove things forward. Yeah, and then also I had lived with a boom op for 5 years that I had never boom opped. So that was a very fun experience. And yeah, everyone spoke clearly. That was huge. Yeah.
I don't know if this is a question or just kind of as compliment, but I really liked your cinematography. You were the TV, right? Also, that was obviously just overall so well shot, but the part that really captured my heart, and I was talking about with Cheyenne a little bit before, is the table scene where the channels really quickly, kind of not cutting, flipping or whatever it was doing to each character. So let's talk about that process. Like, was that something that was kind of simple for you, or was that like typical?
It was full actually. That's it was fun. It was building the new shirt with Szczesniak, so that was great. And yeah, the face was good at it, and so I was getting on the line and just whenever they looked, I had to held out. So definitely I was really excited. But yeah, it was very simple. Too complicated.
So I think that's something about film is that there's two different sides to it. The first side is, of course, whatever the actor themselves is doing in that moment, what they're doing. However, the second side is also what the camera is choosing to show. Because an actor can be doing so much, the camera's not trying to make something snapping across and stop boring the story. And I feel like the cinematography did a really great job highlighting certain moments that were kind of key moments in the script. I think what was the writing and how was that for you guys?
The idea writing would be, we all kind of worked out an idea first, and we just had Fitch itself, and we knew if someone was going to get killed, not just the whole thing all the time, and then decided not to do that with a stick on it's so we said we did a sound, so that was kind of reading that was going to be something in it. So then Brayden was a big player through all like the tarot lady, like she knew all that stuff. Yeah, I think they usually knocked out like 2 or 3 days.
And speaking of tarot, I knew something was going to go funny at the end, because whenever girls get together with the deck of cameras and I follow the line, it's like I've never been bullied harder. Like really, so I knew something would go up.
That's how it works, How I would love to talk about it in the Predator sort of thing, and specifically the fight sequence that they had. I think we all had a great success as well. So I was just wondering from like inception to kind of like actually getting to film it on the day of, and I like just seeing the reaction of having what are we all good about that?
The fight scene, the fight scene was again, we got a road. We were and taping like 8-year-olds was had a advisor going for us, and there was just people like just anything to shoot each other like is in his slice. So when we went back to those and stuff with like we just I think a lot of it was Jaime shooting it, like the way we made it just kind of feel as frantic and crazy as possible.
I will admit, the fight is scripted only up until the slap. And really not because of purely improv around the spot. We just started yelling each other's face. So I had a lot of fun with that one. We were really going for us. No one holds back in this one. Like at first they start to, and then at the end it all comes down. And
I want to start off with a comment as well. I thought you guys, it was such an excellent film, and you could just feel the intensity right from the get-go. Like you understand what's going on, and then something bad's about to happen, and that just holds you throughout the time until like the very end where it has this awesome payoff. You guys, that was really awesome. Thank you. My question is, you guys mentioned that this shoot only took 1 day for 12 hours. You really couldn't tell from the look of the film, so my question is, how did you guys keep your energy up, like go to the last shot, first shot, who was it and stuff like that to make sure that, 12 hours is long, it's a very short period to make such a great film.
Well, thank you, first of all. But this experience was nothing short of magical, honestly. I wasn't here for the first day, and I got to be placed with this amazing group of people that just, so warmly welcomed me in. And originally, yes, we were supposed to have a 2-day shoot. That was like part of the schedule. And the energy was just flowing, that day. Like we were just banging out shots, like vibes were like, people were like one-take wonders. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is like awesome. So, and it was even more historic because as we were wrapping up Lizzie's last scene, OG tips it in and wins the game. So we were like, it's
between every time. Yeah. And I think it was our very last take too, that like right when we wrapped it up, like they scored and like it was great.
Great, running up and down and screaming and hugging and crying. It was great.
And then we had to hold sound for fireworks outside. So
yes. Phenomenal, loved it.
Yeah, just a really great energy on set. I've done all of the cohorts up to this point, and it's always such a treat to be placed with a group of people that is so willing and open and capable. So yeah, just really grateful for the whole experience, for the whole team. Yeah.
I think that's all the time.
I'm Taylor. I did the storyboards, animation, and was a PA.
Hi, I'm Vlad. I played Randall.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I played Minnie.
Hi, I'm Suzanne. I was the writer and I played Mavis.
Hi, I am Giovanni and I was one of the directors.
Hi, I'm Liv. I was playing Paige and I produced. And also shout out to our second director, Sonia, who's not here today, but who did amazing work, and both directors together.
Hey everybody, I am Brandon. I was the DP and one of the editors.
Hi, I'm Catherine. I also edited and recorded sound.
I'm Sam. I was the script editor and poster designer.
Hey guys, my name is Murad. I just acted and I played the role of Theo.
Alrighty, everyone. So before we get started with my question, I'd love to just accept what was our genre we were working with for this. Romance. All right, one of the writers, get on mic. We have got to talk about the concept of this script. Because what was that? It was cuckoo bananas. I loved it. What was it like?
Thank you. I think in the beginning so it's interesting the way things developed because we have these two couples, so it's like very much a relational situation happening where these dynamics like two couples paralleling each other, but the real romance obviously gets transferred, happens in the end between the therapist and one of the hostages, and that just kind of happened naturally, just in the way that the characters developed and grew. Even though I wrote it, we worked as a team to have sessions and we brainstormed, and it was like everybody's ideas were making their way in, and so it was like, and everyone had like really great revisions and such like that. And I think we didn't try to harp too much on romance, and I think that's why it succeeded, because we were like, okay, we have two couples, that's the romance that's going to happen, they're going to fight, they're going to get back together, and it was very kind of like, it just kind of flourished like how it just happened. And when we were filming, it just became more natural. And then I think personally, Jordan and I have a chemistry, and it became like apparent when we were like doing our makeup and stuff, where it was like, hey girl, and so it just kind of, like I said, it naturally flourished.
It was clear on screen. It was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really like how you use the two sets of couples as foils to each other, and then, obviously there's the twist at the end, and your couple does what we expect the first couple to do the entire time. So I guess I would love to hear from the two actors that played the first couple. What was that like for you guys in terms of playing the truth of the situation while not playing into, oh, we're like crazy murderers?
I have to think about it. No, can you repeat the question? Sorry.
At first, when you're watching it, until really it cuts to the other couple in the back, it's just like an everyday couple, having an argument, kind of bickering, and then all of a sudden you realize, like, oh my god, there's serial killers that have people like kidnapped in the back of the car. So what was that like for you guys, exploring the dynamic of being real and keeping it kind of grounded and down to earth, but incorporating that whole aspect of that you're serial killers? Yeah.
Okay, so our thought was that we're not serial killers. It was our first time kidnapping something, just because we were there to rob the house and things gone wrong. Like they were there, and that's how it kind of came to be. And now we're like, how do we deal with the situation, which we've never been in this place before. And it just happens that it is the first time when Randall is responsible for the whole operation and something like this happens. So like the whole idea is like, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we should do with them. We just kind of got them and now they're here, and now what's next?
Yeah. My character messed up with everything, I would say, and at the end he wanted to kill them. I don't know. That's yeah. I think no other choices was so.
Yeah, I think that attitude also kind of really played into what you were talking about with like how you were playing it. It was almost like this was a very messed up, like morals out the window couples exercise that you were just trying on for. It could have been like just journal, like it was the equivalence of like, or just kidnap this person. Like it's like whatever. Yeah. Caution to the wind. I thought that was like a really great kind of tone wise, and I'd love to talk about how like your two characters kind of became parallels of each other and where that was going to go at the end, because I thought that was really interesting. It was almost kind of to me like it was like
the odd couple, but like if it was like the odd couples, like, you know what I mean? Like two like couples of pairing. So I was wondering how like the interactions between like the first couple and the second couple was like on set. Like if you guys like, you know, didn't work on that or like got to like, you know, kiki. What was the vibe? Give it to me, girl.
I would say that it was, well, first of all, we couldn't really see, Murad and I couldn't really see Paige and Vlad when they were performing because we were off rehearsing. There was so little time, as every other group says. So I asked him, like, can we just rehearse? I'm like feeling really nervous about my lines and stuff like that. And then plus, like, we couldn't be in those shots and stuff. And especially in the car, it was just Brandon, Giovanni, Vlad, and Liv. And so we couldn't really see them. So I feel like it was mostly like the couples were onto themselves until like the group scene. And it's hard because like you're getting to know someone and it's such like a polite situation and yet you have to be so like aggravated with them, you know what I mean? So I was just like, you know, like care to the wind and just like have to be like whatever, but it's a lot of fun to talk to, you know? So, and I think something I appreciated about him was he does that thing where like the actor is like, you can't tell if they're themselves or they're doing like the character. And so it's like, okay, I see what's happening here. And I'm just gonna like, just naturally respond. So if I felt like he was being Theo, it was very easy to be like, I'm done.
Yeah, the creative process from beginning to end. I mean, there's a lot to comment on. I would go and basically in addition to what Susie said, there was definitely a lot of opportunity. I came in, I didn't quite memorize every bit of my lines. It was Saturday. It was the day of the shoot. I was busy the entire week, and I had to play this frat boy archetype that had to go through several takes being stabbed, so to say, which I was looking forward to, by the way. No, but it was really nice to use that time in between scenes to not only get to know the amazing talent on set, but to work on my lines, put a little bit more into the character, and I think it was really nice to just knock back and just the things that I would never even think about doing in real life. It was nice to channel into playing Theo, and it was just an amazing opportunity from beginning to end, getting to know everybody here, and it was a good Saturday. Objectively speaking, it was a very good Saturday, and I'll be honest, I was looking forward to a good day. This was probably something I consider to be a pretty good day in my book.
Before we do that, I just want to talk really quickly about like the fabulous shot with the hair blowing. The direction on that, what was that? I love that, and the twist on that. Love the direction on that.
Oh yeah. So I forget who. So for context, in any place that you need sound, you turn the AC off. And so it was hot as fuck the entire day. I brought fake sweat. We didn't use it because everyone was sweating. And so someone was very casually fanning Susie. And I was like, wait a minute. We're shooting in slow motion. We need to fall in love. Keep it going. And so it was literally just someone like with a card going like. It did not look as graceful and beautiful outside of the camera, I will say. But yeah, honestly, like, I think anything that was on set that made everybody smile or giggle a little bit, I feel like we stuck to. So when we saw the wind, everyone giggled a little, and we were like, okay, let's do it. And I think the point is to have fun, and anything that you're making, if you're looking at it and you're a little bit more excited about it, like, why not do it, you know? So yeah.
Can I say something real quick? Yeah. Also adding into that, the way I see it is in terms of getting in a character, I see it as a lot of things I'd like to do personally, just rolling with the punches. It's absolutely very nice to go into a scene knowing what your character is like, but I think another skill set to have is to be able to just roll with the punches, take whatever any other actor gives you, what the vibe of the set is like, what the vibe that you think the character is going to be like. And I just saw everything coming my way as an opportunity, and I took advantage of that, and it was nice. I had a lot of fun, and I hope everybody here could say the same thing.
From you guys, thoughts, comments, concerns.
Ooh, tell me your concerns. What are your concerns?
I just wanted to say that I thought it was so beautifully shot, and I guess I was just wondering, as like a DP, what your guys' inspiration was. Especially, I think my favorite was like the scissors coming out, and like that whole sequence was so beautiful. And I think you guys storyboarded it or something.
Yeah, so we started off with, after the script was written, one of the things that I just like to do as a director, after we all come together and come up with what the idea is going to be, you know, what the premise is to get a shot list solid. Even if we change it, we just have a structure. We did have a storyboard and an animator here, so we wanted to make sure that everyone, something with this group that I realized I just want to point out, is that everyone was a leader in their own right. Like, they came into it knowing exactly what their strengths were, and noticing that's what made this run smoothly. It was, oh, okay, so your strong suit is producing, organization. Liv was on top of that from beginning to end. And also another thing is just like gauging the commitment day one with this, like who's available, and let's be realistic about it, and so that we can play on the strengths in the time frame that we have. And this group did an excellent job with doing that. So yeah, shout out to us. So yeah, the structure piece and the shot list, that was key. And after getting the script and then having the storyboarding piece with it, even though it wasn't the same, it's always good to, well, it was very similar, but it's always good to have like that other mirroring piece, just like with script writing, you know, everyone has the same idea, we're going into it, let's see how we can use both of these because we're working as a group, so. You want to add anything to it?
Yeah, I like storyboarded, like after the script was like completed, like Giovanni like made like the shot list, and then I like just went through the script and did storyboards, and we kind of all just like looked it over, see how it was playing out, and yeah, it just kind of came. I wasn't able to like be there for like the whole day, so I don't know how the actual final scissor shot ended up being, but it was beautiful, and yeah, it was a really fun time collaborating with everybody on that.
Can we?
Yeah, a lot of the creative movement that happened was our DP. So with the scissors being in focus the way that they were, and the way that Mavis's hair was blowing in the wind, and how we really got that shot of cutting because I was like, yo, this is a one time, I'm thinking this is a one time, and that one take, we got it. So let's speak to that.
I think that when shooting, I think it really helps if you're an editor, because the entire day was me cutting it together in my head. And when we were doing shots, I was taking note of basically just what felt like it was missing. And also, what was really interesting is I feel like when we got to set, I didn't know what the tone of this was going to be until I saw the actors do their thing. And it ended up being a lot funnier than I thought it would be. And so as a result, I allowed us to have a little bit more fun with it and just not take ourselves too seriously. So long as the light's pretty, I don't think anyone cares.
Any other questions from the audience? Over here. This might be a little more technical than other people's questions.
Sure.
So, you know, there's a ton of social content in cards, and your content was completely cinematic and had no hint of social aesthetics. You know what I'm saying? So my question is to you, and also to the sound and whoever's sort of dealing with lighting. How conscious was avoiding that kind of aesthetic, and what did you actually do?
Sure. So in regards to the lighting and everything like that, I think we first started off with understanding what our constraints were. Especially shooting in a car, and I just moved here from New York last month. I moved from LA last month to New York. So I'm used to having cars and generators and all these things. And so I just know a little bit about lighting, and so if I ever want something to feel relatively cinematic, I'm gonna shoot on the dark side of the subject. When the light is on the far side of the subject and the shadow is closer, things have depth. they feel real. And realistically, I just didn't want to overlight things. The goal is to not make people feel beautiful. The goal is to feel like you're watching something from just from a perspective, right? Like you want to feel like you're seeing something and you're not supposed to be watching, right? So the goal really was to make sure that I'm lighting on the right side. And we just used little bounce boards or whatever it may be. We got very lucky that Giovanni's car has a little sunroof. So we just opened that bad boy up, and we actually didn't light the car, honestly. We waited for the light. So we chose the right time of day. And I think the best part about shooting the trunk was Murad's, because we opened up the back of the trunk and we had someone shaking the car. And then we had Olivia with a reflector, and she would like do this every once in a while to try to get like some motion and things like that. But realistically,
not moving. They were never moving at the same. They were never in the car at the same time.
yeah.
I was gonna give you a high five.
Well, so I guess the story is really about those two couples, but then like there must be this connecting bridge, right? And then I'm curious, both for the writing and for the actress, what was the thought process and the approach of like having that bridge being connected and wrapped so there could be some kind of conclusion and also a more background understanding of where we are.
I have something to say. Yeah. So one thing that we discussed before Susie went into the writing room was that we wanted to focus on the certain themes between these couples. So it's a high stakes situation, everyone's stressed, then all this stuff starts coming up. So between Randall and Paige, we see Randall's he's supposed to be the imbecile, she's insulting him, he's aloof but also like self-deprecating in a way, and then you have the other couple in the back who is stuck in this situation, who's a new couple while this couple has been together, and you have poor Theo here, who's just like, I was just trying to get my rocks off at your boss's house, but here I am in the trunk with like, this face mask on with a busted lip. Like, what are we doing? And I just want to go home. And she's the psycho that he should have swiped left on. And they're in this situation now where this random ass psychotic therapist is now taking them into a completely different door. So it's like we played on I think the romance, please speak to this too also, plays on like romance is not always between people. Sometimes circumstances can be romantic and they can bring out the same sorts of things in you that a romantic partnership can bring out.
And to piggyback on what Giovanni said, I think like a big part of this, like something that came to when we were brainstorming was I was thinking about when we were talking about two couples and however that came about. I thought about one of my favorite like couples therapists, Esther Perel, and she talks a lot about relational intelligence as opposed to like emotional intelligence, and it's just like the way we relate to each other. And I think something that I really wanted to happen, and it came through, was that at least for the most part, the characters that needed to relate to the therapist in the script did. Like something that I felt was like really special was when Minnie calls Randall an idiot when she's comparing him to Theo, and he's like, I get it. But he's not hurt because he's like, Minnie and I are on the same level. Like we're chill now. Like I know how to read a couple. We've been in therapy for a while. I know how to read a couple now, And then like Mavis feels seen, like a psychopath who feels seen by her therapist, and even like Theo, he's like, oh my gosh, like she's totally like reading my card right now. I don't know how to like react to this. I don't know how to like be here. And I'm also like a hostage. And I think Paige just constantly needs like help being seen when she's like dealing with Randall. So they all have actually like this like secret relationship with Minnie. And I think that's kind of like what's special. It just gets like the most elevated with Mavis because Minnie's also like a little psychopath. So I think that's like the interesting thing. And like the foil with the two couples, like that's its own relationship happening, So it's like, what are these different relationships that are happening? And the mask for us, there was a literal mask, that's why they got into the hostage situation. But then there's also like, we also had an element of psychological mask, like the psychopath, and even like Minnie, like the therapist who's like a crime like handler at night. So a lot of that going on.
Well, I think that's all the time we have. If Team B, last but not least, could join us up here.